quorum, so welcome to the joint meeting of the Rules and Open Government Committee and Committee of the Whole for Wednesday, January 15th. We're going to start out by reviewing the agenda for Tuesday, January 28th, 2020. And pages 4 and 5. Six and 7. Eight and 9. 10 and 11. 12 and 13. And pages 14, or page 14. If there's not any questions or changes, can I get a motion to accept the agenda, please?
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a question, though.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, there's 2 items for the evening session. You're usually a stickler for these things, Vice Mayor.
It's a study
Oh, it's a
session.
study session?
Those planning items are in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. All right, then.
Oh, trust me, I would have raised that.
Okay, all right, then.
But thank you for making sure I was not asleep at the wheel.
You got it.
All right, so it's been, motion's been made, and it's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Oh,
oppo-
you missed a card, Vice Mayor. Public.
You're right, I'm sorry. Sorry, Blair. Sorry, yeah. It's all right.
Hi, to look over the council meeting agenda for January 28th, you will be talking about trying to create a Vision Zero plan. You'll be further talking about that. Kind of in the, I don't know what item it is, item 8 probably, in the 8 range or so. No, not in the 8 range. It's, shoot, I can't find it now. But it was here a minute ago. Oh, here it is, 5.2. And I just wanted to, a Vision Zero action plan. Now, there was some really weird reporting by the Metro and the Mercury in December about Vision Zero. Their reporting and the statistics totally contradicted what the TNE was talking about in their group meetings in November. So I really, really hope you and these newspapers, and I suppose, certain coalitions within San Jose, get your act together and really line up and get your house in order to talk to us about what exactly these statistics are about and what exactly you're trying to do right now. I mean, we all want a green future. We all want that, and we can achieve that in very honest, simple, straightforward terms. If we just use our good reasoning and common sense, that will bring the good practices we are looking for. We don't have to make this big push that apparently is going on that is possibly very false. And I'm very worried when you guys do this. And you've been doing this occasionally with green issues, and you don't have to make this false effort. I mean, it's good issues, it's good work. Just talk to us honestly, and we'll know how to listen. You know my work with accountability and technology. Let's learn how to work together and not be so separated and warlike. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Item E, the public record.
Motion to note and file?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Hold on, do you got a card?
No,
Okay.
but thank you for keeping me on my toes.
Sure.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, item G, G2, monthly report of activities for December 2019 from the city auditor. Welcome, Joe.
Good afternoon, Joe Roy, City Auditor. I'm here to present our office's monthly report for December. So in December, we released our annual report on city services for fiscal year 2018-19. It was our 12th annual report. You'll be hearing that on January 28th. You just reviewed that agenda. And I'm happy to answer any questions on the remaining part of our work plan, and I ask that you approve the report. I'm open to questions.
Okay. Any questions, from my colleagues? All right, we have a couple of public speakers.
Couple of speakers. Go ahead and let the speakers ask.
Okay. Marge? Glenna? Oh, okay. There's an order here, okay.
About the audit, or about? It's not about the audit.
Okay, because they had G2.
G2 is the audit.
G2 is the audit. You mean, you want G3 mobile?
G3 you
mobile home
want.
park land use designation?
Okay, well, we'll get you teed up for that. Okay.
I have a question in regard to the audit, unless you have questions from the
Blair
public
has,
first. Okay.
did you want to speak on G2, the audit? Blair?
Hi. Let's try to get through this item. To speak first to item 8 of the January 2020 City Auditor's Report about the 2016 City Technology Deployment and the recent work to create yearly technology deployment reports in general, I wanted to once again thank your city government efforts and research into the 2006 and 7 San Jose Sunshine Ordinance. To remind, the San Jose Sunshine Ordinance may hold an important key about openness, transparency, accountability, and creative ways to ask the mayor, city government, and community how we can all work together. To offer my own creative reminder, a new CIO, a second in command, can help organize weekly presentations to the public and media with city government projects and where they're at. It can expand our role in service of what is done here at Rules and Open Government. With item 24 of the January Auditor's Report, in reviewing police overtime by its bureau and vacancies, and from reviewing the many statistics from the November 2019 T&E item on Vision Zero, is my feeling San Jose is currently at a place where we should be roughly between 35 and 45 traffic enforcement police officers. By the end of the year, this number may well be over 50 plus. It seems city government and local media like the Mercury News and the Metro have created a problem in how to report more actual statistics around the subject. We are trying to learn how to create more trusted yet efficient community and government practices that can help with things like new police overtime issues of item 24. We all want to build a green future. We are at a time to seriously consider how openness and accountability can create a better honesty, decency, good reasoning, organization, and peace to help develop long-term ideas of democracy and sustainability for a community. Thank you.
All right, then.
Felt like pledging allegiance.
Any comments from my colleagues, questions?
Yes.
I also have a question.
Okay, Johnny first.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The audit of the Housing Department, item number 15, will the assessment of the Housing Department grant programs, including will include contracted out services, like, say, the Law Foundation? People who they contract out services to?
We haven't scoped that out yet in terms of what specifically we would look at. Right now, that's been put on hold, primarily because we did the audit of the homeless services in fall of 2018, and we have outstanding audit recommendations surrounding grant monitoring and compliance monitoring, and so we want to see how those recommendations get implemented, then we'll launch that. So right now, that's where that is sitting. It's been kind of on hold for a little bit until those recommendations get implemented, and then we'll take another look at it, and then we'll scope it out from there in terms of what the broad level of review of the different programs are. That's where we are right now.
Okay, when do you think that might return then? What are your thoughts at that estimated time where these things need to progress before you go into
Well, that's a
further
good question. So
assessment?
we're right now starting our process for every 6 months, we do a review of all the open audit recommendations, and we just put out a call for updates on those, and we'll be coming to the council in March about this, with the status of all the open audit recommendations. At that point, we can have a better idea of the status of those, and then we can figure out where we are in terms of kind of the priorities of the rest of our work plan.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Davis?
Thanks. So it sounds like, so that's item number 15, and it's on hold. This may have answered my question, but are these not in the order then that you would necessarily take them? The assignment's not started?
Not necessarily. So what comes up next is a couple different factors. So one is that, the team's availability. There's certain times of the year that we're not going to take on certain projects. For example, if it has some budgetary questions, we probably wouldn't launch it in the middle of budget season because there's a lot of work in that area. There's cycles within different departments, which, we try to avoid just to accommodate. We're not going to do something that's accounting heavy right when they're trying to put together the financial statements, that sort of thing. And so there's a bunch of different factors. Also, if we have another audit going on in that department, we might not launch a second just because we want to kind of be light in that area. So, well, we're pretty heavy on public works this year, so they may not think that. So there's a number of different
Right.
factors. So it's not necessarily that order, but if you have any thoughts of what you think is a priority, just let us know, and we'll factor that into the decision making.
Yeah, the reason I asked is because police staffing is the last on the list, and I think it has the benefit of not being part of Public Works. I think that's a really important one to start sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so that's actually listed last because it was added by the Rules Committee, and so it's
Right.
actually, the order is really kind of the order that I put, I had them in the original work plan, which was a kind of thinking in terms of the priority, and so that housing was first because it carried over from the previous year, and so that's why it fell there. It
Understood.
just wasn't necessarily the top priority.
Sure.
And then police staffing was added last, so it just put on the bottom.
Yeah,
And we actually have just kind of started that. We'll be working with the police department shortly.
okay, great. Yeah, the only other one that kind of jumped out at me, I know it's been waiting for a while, is the timeliness of code enforcement responses. We get a lot of calls, I'm sure I'm not the only office that gets a lot of calls about code enforcement.
Yeah.
And concerns about that, so those would be the two that popped out for me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. All right, if there's no other questions, can I get a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Motion passes. All right, on to item G3, and we have several public speakers, and I want to get them in the right order. So we're going to start out with Martha O'Connell.
Threw my back out. Martha O'Connell, Regional Manager for GSMOL, which represents throughout the state manufactured home residents. We support the memo. However, our ask is that the memo be amended to include all mobile home parks so that all mobile home parks in San Jose get a mobile home park designation in the general plan. This is not a new idea. The council received a letter on May 11th of 2017 from the Law Foundation encouraging this very thing, saying the city should establish a mobile home park designation if it seeks to preserve its 59 mobile home parks. This would enable the city to address this issue on a global basis and not simply putting out fires as they arise in park after park. I will read the direct recommendation from the Law Foundation. We thus recommend that the general plan be amended to include an exclusively mobile home park designation and, quote, no net loss, unquote, policy similar to the city's industrial no net loss policy to fortify its commitment to preserving mobile home park lands and the source of affordable housing. This global designation will give relief from fear to mobile home park residents and it will also be consistent so the city is not forced to move from park to park as they are perhaps threatened with redevelopment. So please amend the memo and include all mobile home parks.
Next is Glenna.
Glenna Halcroft, GSMOL Super Chapter President, representing our members in Peppertree. I have received conflicting and confusing emails from the city of San Jose concerning the general plan designation for my park. Regardless of which emails is correct, I am asking that the current memo be amended to include a general plan mobile home designation for Peppertree. This low-income, majority park needs the same protections as the five-star parks cited in the current memo. On one official city document, Peppertree Estates appears as the only mobile home park with the designation TEC, which is Transit Employment Center. I am told this is an error. I see one of two things happening. Either the city is in bed with the developers and is not being transparent, or there's totally incompetency. Peppertree residents and all residents in San Jose need complete and accurate information. Setting up a website is not the sole answer since many residents do not have computer access. Give me the accurate information and I through GSMOL will distribute that in my park. Amend the current memo to include GP mobile home designation for Peppertree. Thank you.
Thank you. Delia?
My name is Delia Gary, and I too live at Peppertree Estate. I am a member of the GSMOL, and I agree with the president. That's it.
Thank you. Marge?
Good afternoon. My name is Marg Somafranca. I'm also a resident of Peppertree Estates, and I also support and agree with our chapter president.
Thank you. I see council member. Okay. Gail? Come on up.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Okay, so here we are. So I also live in a mobile home park, and we used to have 59. Now we have maybe 57, 58. We need to protect all of us, so all mobile home parks. Vice Mayor, you have one mobile home park, as you know, and you went through this last night. Councilwoman Sylvia, you have 4 in your district. In fact, you and I got kicked out of one. Oh, 2, we got to, anyway. Deb, you have 3. Johnny, you have, I think, 4 mobile home parks. So we have to protect us. You have to protect all mobile home park residents. I live in a mobile home park where in a flash, my mobile home park owner would sell under us, which is very scary, and especially being a senior mobile home park. We have 10 senior mobile home parks. I've been talking to a lot of them, and I'm not trying to scare people like some people do, but it's like we need to all come together and work together, and I know you will pass this because it's very important. It should have been passed in 2018, but I don't think you voted for it back then. I'm not sure. I didn't see that you didn't vote for it. But we all need to be on the same page, and thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Councilmember Depp, I know you want to speak.
Yes, so thank you to the Rules Committee. I'm here to answer any questions, but also just kind of give synopsis of why the mayor and I put this memo before the Rules Committee. This is not something that we originated. This is something that council direction dating back to March 13th of 2018, in a joint memo between the mayor and myself, Vice Mayor Jones, and Councilmember Carrasco, requesting that the full council entertain and start working, directing staff to create a general plan amendment to create a mobile home only designation to protect the two mobile home parks most likely at risk of being sold and redeveloped, which is West Winds in my district, and I believe is Spring Mountain? Mountain Springs in District 7. And so the council adopted that, and we held, the planning department held a community meeting in August of last year, letting West Winds residents know that the item will be coming before the full council in November or December. Of course, you know, as these things happen, they get delayed. But there's a renewed urgency to the issue because I think on January 3rd, MHC, which is the operator of West Wind, sent a letter to every resident saying that they had a discussion with the landowners, and the landowners said this and that, basically saying to everybody that we think you'll be evicted by 2022. And that caused a bit of panic. The Nicholson family, through a representative, has stated that they have no intention of doing anything with the land yet, although they will reclaim it in 2022. But even still, the fear is out there. And so the mayor and I wanted to urge the council to direct staff to speed up what we've already directed them to do, to allay any fears and give residents of West Winds and Mountain Springs some peace of mind.
Thank you, council member. Do my colleagues have any questions?
I think
Sorry, Michael Pierce here from the Office of Councilmember Maya Esparza. She had asked
Oh,
asked me
okay.
to speak. She would be here herself, but unfortunately, she's out ill today. So I had a prepared statement from her, if that's all
Go
right.
ahead, thank you.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here to speak in support of the Mayor and Councilmember Diep's memo to expedite the general plan amendment to create a mobile home park designation. This work will create a mobile home park specific general plan designation for both West Winds and Mountain Springs Mobile Home Park, which is in my district. I want to stress that this work is long overdue to be brought to council for consideration. In March 2018, the council voted to push this work out another year despite the urgent need to address this. We held a community meeting with the Mountain Springs residents last September, and the timeline given to the residents by staff indicated that this item would be coming to the Planning Commission in October or November and to council by November or December. The letter that the West Winds residents received the other week was a stark reminder not only to West Winds residents, but to residents of Mountain Springs and other parks of what can happen if we fail to adequately protect our mobile home residents. My council district is home to 18 mobile home parks, the most of any district, and I am acutely aware of the fear of displacement that our park residents have, many of whom are seniors and other low-income households who depend on these parks as one of the last de facto affordable housing sources in San Jose. It's our responsibility as a city to act swiftly in carrying out this work to protect our mobile home communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Bringing it back to my colleagues, clarification.
Yeah, just a clarification. Councilmember Diep, this is for, not just for West Winds and the one that Councilmember Esparza was talking about, but this is for all mobile home parks. It's not specific to a couple of locations, right?
So my understanding is we're creating it, we're amending the general plan to create
Right.
the designation. The
For all.
application of the designations, my understanding would apply to the two most likely at risk of redevelopment, the largest and nearer redevelopment areas. So it would not automatically apply to every mobile home park.
So if I could, I'm going to invite Mike Rio up. Just a kind of little context here. So this is council priority number 2 on our list. So actively working on this. I think the schedule has shifted a bit, and I'll ask Mike to go over the schedule and answer the question around how this applies broadly across the city.
So there was, council initially, I think, did ask staff to look at creating, is this on? There.
Yes.
Creating and applying a mobile home park designation for all mobile home parks or most mobile home parks in the city. Staff did do that analysis, and our recommendation was that we create a new land use designation, mobile home park, and apply it to 2 mobile home parks, West Winds in North San Jose and Mountain Spring in District 7 near Communications Hill. The reason we were recommending those 2 is those are the most risk of conversion. They are So when people, what we're seeing is when people are contemplating conversion to mobile home parks, they're looking at developing at a higher density, given the land values, the cost of housing, et cetera, in this valley. And so the only two parks in San Jose that have a designation that would allow a higher density type of development, not unlike what was approved at Winchester Ranch last night, is West Winds and Mountain Spring. They have an urban residential land use designation, which is really the kind of designation the market would be looking at to redevelop. The other parks in San Jose have a hodgepodge of designations, from commercial to light industrial. Some of them are located in our industrial areas, to residential neighborhood, which is typically a single-family designation. So the idea of changing the general plan designation on these two parks is that it would add an additional step that a mobile home park owner would have to do to convert that park to another use. So the council would first consider it under a general plan amendment. It gives the council leverage to be asking things. It really sets up a model much like what we saw last night with Winchester Ranch Mobile Home Park. The other parks have designations that we would anticipate would need to or want to actually seek a general plan amendment anyway, so that they would need to do that already to proceed with development. So we didn't see a need to apply it citywide. Council agreed with our analysis and our recommendation, and that's why we're moving forward with applying this new land use designation only to those two parks that are most threatened with the current high-density housing designation that they have.
And Mike, can you just go over the proposed schedule?
So we're going to go to a Housing Community Development Committee on January 23rd, Wednesday. We're going to Planning Commission in February. I don't remember the next day.
I think it's the 12th.
12th, yes, and we're coming back to council in March 10th with the actual amendments for council consideration.
I just have a process question. So you've identified the two mobile home parks. From a workflow perspective, what's the difference between that and just doing a blanket reevaluation of all the parks?
So if you wanted to expand it to apply to all, it would be a heavier staff lift in terms of more outreach and engagement with the property owners as well as the community. So it just involves more time and effort.
Okay, I just wanted to have a clear understanding
Yeah.
of what was involved.
Yeah.
So thank you. Sylvia, Councilmember Arenas, any question?
Actually, Councilmember Davis, and I don't know if you finished with your comments. Yeah. That was actually one of the questions I had, was why it was exclusive to these two. But you said it was exclusive to the two, but also included Councilmember Esparza's. So it doesn't include Councilmember Esparza's.
It includes, it's two parks. One is West Winds, which is in District 4, and the other one is Mountain Spring, which is in District 7.
Okay, those are
in
the
Maya
two. Okay.
Esparza's district.
Okay, thank you. For some reason, I thought you had mentioned three, and one of those was not going to get covered. Okay, well, I actually think it's great that you have this barrier, or this, you've thought of it in our procedures to actually help some of our mobile home owners, and we've seen the success and some of the outcomes that can happen when a mobile home owner and the residents work together, and everybody ends up, it's a win-win, basically. And so I think this is the start to another win-win. And I want to make sure that we continue to connect with our mobile home park owners so that they are very well informed, whether it's email or, flyering or letters, whatever it is, so that they can know what the process is. Now that we know that this is going to go to Plan Commission in February, back to Council in March, just let them know what the process is and when they can actually come in and give us their feedback in terms of what they're experiencing. That would be just part of my recommendation.
And just a clarification, so you're talking about the owners of those two parks that are, okay, got it. All right. Sounds good.
Councilmember Camus?
Yeah, so I think some of the people here are concerned about Peppermill and
Pepper Tree.
Pepper Tree, I apologize.
Yes, it is.
But, how should I say? But we're not
So let me just try to translate what Mike's just said. He said that for most parks, there's already basically general plan protections
Okay,
in place.
yeah, yeah.
Except for these two, because of their current designation, really don't have that.
Okay,
And so
all
they're
right.
more vulnerable. And
Thank
so
you.
we're going through this process.
Yes,
Thank you, Dave.
that's the,
Dave, I want you to translate what I say.
that's a good translation, actually.
Pepper Tree,
It really is.
Pepper Tree has a light industrial land use designation, is my understanding.
So they'd have to convert anyway, so they'd have to
Correct.
go through this process anyway, so that
That's
the
right.
protections already exist, so that, and so the second question I have to ask is, you know, are you satisfied that this is going fast enough? Because you're talking about accelerating here, and we're already getting, it seems like it's moving through the right process and at the right speed, and I don't know that we can, I don't think the staff can speed this up much, even if they wanted to. So, can you, instead of shaking your head, can you say?
Yeah, I mean, we're going, I mean, fortunately, the staff report was written some time ago, but we're really going as fast as we can because we're going to go to the HCD committee on Wednesday, the 23rd, followed by Planning Commission on the 12th of February. So just given how our processes work and the timelines and the lead times you need, we're moving very
And,
quickly.
you know, I just want, for the benefit of the people who came here, took the time of their, the day to come and testify here, I think what we should do is make them aware of our current process of conversion, and maybe somebody should send out an email to those folks who left their email addresses on the communication cards, just so that they know that this is not gonna happen. It's not like they're gonna be out of a home tomorrow. Even if somebody starts to file the procedures, maybe you could put that down on paper, and here's what would happen if it happened. And so far, nothing has actually happened, correct?
Correct.
Dave, you look like you
Yeah.
want to say something.
So I think we could put out an information memo that kind of just clarifies what we're doing.
Yes.
And why we have the strategy we have. And we can make that available to the public.
That would be great, because I don't want people to walk away feeling that they have not been heard or insecure about their own housing situation, because I think it's important for people to feel secure, that nothing's going to happen without some serious discussions and interventions. And obviously, it took 7 years, just for the record, for the last one to be converted. And there was meetings, I think, Vice Mayor Jones can attest to how many meetings took place before anything happened. And so I want to make sure that the people are not walking away feeling insecure about their own personal well-being. And so I would be grateful to have that, and maybe we can give it to the people who are unsecure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Can I just add to that? And I would like the info memo to not just include the mobile home park designation that you were talking about, what's happening for these two parks, but what it would take for any mobile home park of any other designation to change from its current use.
I think that's what
Because-
Johnny.
Yeah, I think that's,
That's what Johnny said, but that's not what Dave said, so
Yeah.
I want
Oh,
to make
okay.
sure that there's communication.
It got lost in the translation.
yeah, I think we would include the context that we discussed, which is what Mike said around the fact that realistically, the other mobile home parks would require a general plan amendment anyways, and, yeah, so we'll go through that.
And what
Yeah,
what that process would be, something that a
Yeah,
layperson could understand.
Yeah. We also only note that general plan amendments only happen in November, right? So they would, even if you submit something, it's not going to get anywhere until November, right? So that's the kind of information we're looking for.
Okay.
All right. No other comments?
So if I could just answer Councilmember Camus's question. So I think residents in West Winds and in Mountain Springs we're told, council would have voted for this in November or December of last year. And so oftentimes these things get delayed, and that's fine because staff, needs to flesh things out. But given the letter, we just want to renew attention to this. And so acceleration is not today, tomorrow. I don't know that, but for this memo, we would be agendizing this for March 10th. maybe in April, maybe in May, or something. So I just wanted, the memo was just to address and allay fears in West Winds and to bring it back up. So the timeline that this Rules Committee is set forth, or Michael just set forth, is perfectly fine. We're not looking for tomorrow. Because again, the threat of, whatever would happen after 2022. But I guess just for mobile home residents here today in the audience and anybody at home watching from West Winds, just to kind of recap the takeaway you should have is that what this memo seeks to do is basically downzone West Winds and Mountain Springs to create a protection for those residents. Every other mobile home park in the city of San Jose would need to be upzoned in order to be redeveloped. And so there's also already that conversion process in existence. You're in light industrial, you're in residential. Whoever wanted to build something new would have to come and amend the general plan for permission to do that anyway. But in the case of West Winds and Mountain Springs, they're ripe for picking because the current designation encourages redevelopment, encourages more density. And so we are downzoning that to create that extra barrier.
Okay. Thank you. Can I get a motion, please?
Move approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. On to H1. Community and Economic Development Committee Work Plan.
Yes, I will move to approve. I guess with the following additions, I guess in January, contracting with local and small business in fiscal year 2018, 2019. We recommend that we accept the annual report on the city contracting with local small businesses for FY 2018, 2019. And in June, council priority number 1, local hire recommendations, is to accept the updated report on council priority number 1, local hire, local business apprentice and utilization program. Did I say it the right way?
I think you did.
Okay, thanks.
Second.
All right.
It was written for me, it was good.
And that's a second for his entire motion.
Entire motion.
Sure you don't want him to repeat it?
Somebody wants to speak.
I'll get to you, Blair. I see your card. All right, so it's been moved and seconded. Any other questions, comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Blair, you wanted to speak on this?
I have a few sentences.
I know.
With the many issues of housing on the CED work plan through June 2020, I hope that we can all be more open to want to talk about and work towards very low income, extremely low income, and mixed income housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Does anyone want to reconsider their vote based on that public comment? All right. On to H3, Transportation and Environment Committee Work Plan.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, before we vote, Blair?
All right, this is a long one. To ask about your airport sustainability plan in February at T&E. If you haven't already, I hope you can make it clear to the public when and how money will be spent for a new, more responsible, neutral study of downtown height limits, and that I thought was already agreed upon in good terms by city government and the Airport Commission. Also, I hope the Vision Zero Action Plan in February, community sustainability, environmental issues can be addressed openly and honestly. Thank you to the San Jose, people of San Jose who are understanding the use of technology and more law enforcement should try to play only a smaller, more auxiliary role in the larger questions of Vision Zero and its initial ideas of greener, more sustainable community future. Also in February, I hope the pilot program for the tow truck companies in San Jose will include good practices from Palo Alto that have developed good human and civil rights policies with homeless issues that include people sleeping in cars and RVs. I hope everyone can look into the March T&E committee meeting about the future of local energy roadmap. As part of its initial good purpose and research over the past 10 years, I feel local community energy can very much address state-sponsored war disaster capitalism and its shock doctrine tactics, and can humbly ask, with as much decent planning, why did PG&E have to create such a system the way it has over the past 10 years in the first place? In April, T&E has an annual report of the San Jose Outdoor Trails, a reminder that the City of Davis has created a surveillance and technology ordinance for its wildlife trails that San Jose will no doubt be studying, and that can be good examples of more organized, responsible, sustainable, democratic practices for the future. And I'll talk more about the transportation items at another time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. On to H6, Smart Cities and Service Improvements Committee Work Plan.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, Blair, come on up.
In the spring, you'll be talking about the state of the automated vehicles. This technology will be heavily relying on the geofence stuff that you're building for the scooters at this time, and all throughout downtown. And those geofence all throughout downtown is going to be collecting a bunch of data and has incredible surveillance capabilities, and it will be used to help monitor and guide automatic vehicles. So, I mean, this little geofence is like a main source of how we need to plan for our future and how it can be a more open public process that we can all have a part in and not feel fearful and feel, a responsible future we can all take part in. And I hope you're willing to do that. On to your March Smart City Committee, where you'll be talking about innovation issues. And I feel it's really time to start to consider that you address honest ideas in San Jose City government of ideas of peace and what can be more open, responsible civil rights and civil protection practices. I think these ideas and practices are becoming more understandable, acceptable, and even enjoyable to everyone. I feel these good subjects are important ideas of equality and equity, and how to help bridge the digital divide. With the procurement process, it's the same thing. I hope you can learn to talk about and make civil rights and civil protections, open and upfront and part of the procurement process, and part of how to recruit young people and how to teach young people as well. I understand San Jose is slowly building a tech future that can be for everyone. We can all understand good open tech guidelines, yet San Jose needs to consider how to be more open with its tech.
Thank you, Blair.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, open forum. Blair, take it away.
Thank you. And finally, with Congressman John Lewis diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, I wanted to thank him for years of service as a congressman and his work in African American civil rights. It has worked as a part of my efforts for better accountability with community technology. Interestingly, this work with civil rights issues can very well address how to de-escalate tensions in local communities, to address U.S. continual state of war, the privacy issues of inner cyberspace, and be of help as good guidelines for the future questions of how we can all work in the future with questions of the solar system and deep space as well. In the past 5 years, the examples of civil disobedience within the House of Representatives meetings themselves has been an important example for all of us. If respected, the public meeting place should be one that allows dissenting views and even protests, and what John Lewis has tried to describe in decent terms as the good trouble. He's created a very good example for all of us that I hope we can admire. Thank you, city government and community, for your patience with myself and with others in figuring out how to try to add to our own decent thought and voice to the San Jose community process. And from this, I hope it can be remembered that most everyone usually only tries to add their own decent thoughts and voice. when they are participating with their government and the public meeting process. I hope to talk about these efforts more often here at public comment in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.